Assalamu alaikum everyone, this is Multicultural Civic Platform. My name is Rumsha.
And I'm Yahya.
Today we are here with Zuher Almusre. He is the Executive Director of Aurora Family Therapy Centre.
Thank you for joining us here today. Could we just start off with a quick introduction of yourself, your job, your family, how long you've been in Manitoba?
Thank you for having me, Yahya and Ramsha. Pleasure to be with you here. My name is Zuher Almusre. I am the Executive Director of Aurora Family Therapy Centre. We mainly work on mental health issues, supporting the general population as well as newcomers, both immigrants and refugees, on their mental health. We provide a wide range of supports to families, individuals, and couples, as well as very recently arrived government-assisted refugees, people who have experienced lots of violence and trauma in their life. I have been in Winnipeg. This year marks my 20th year. I arrived in August 2003. I can vividly recall it was summer, hot day, but I came prepared for the cold. Mm-hmm. I came dressed for the cold. I was dressed in big jacket, 2 pairs of pants, 2 pairs of socks, and I came out. It was very hot. I can recall that day. I've lived here in Winnipeg since then. I have family. I have 3 boys. Mohammed, who's 16, Ibrahim, who's going to turn 14 next month, and Yusuf, who shares a birthday with me, who's going to turn 8 next month. We proudly call ourselves Manitobans, so we've always been here, and we are part of our community, and feel that we have a place to contribute to our society.
Mm-hmm. So, what do you think are some challenges that refugees face, particularly Muslim refugees?
Generally when people move here, refugees mostly have gone a lot of challenges in their life. Many of them are fleeing violence and have lost loved ones. Some people have been uprooted from their homes. They have experienced the worst of violence that you can ever experience. And as you may know, refugees don't have a choice to come here. It's often that they're uprooted from their home and they're looking for a place of safety, and Government of Canada and Canadians provide them with the opportunity to a final solution to their refugee problem. And in many situations, we find people who have lost loved ones. I see mothers who have been displaced from their children that they have never met for a long time. Families that have been scattered in different parts of the world that don't know where they are for each other, and people who left all their property, everything that they had, professions and everything behind, and walked away with nothing, having to start life afresh. Many of them coming to Canada, they have hopes, they have interest to succeed. Despite the fact that they have faced a lot of challenges in their life of trauma and violent conflicts, they are very resilient people, and they can bounce back from all kinds of situations they're in. Having said that, coming to a new environment like Canada is not an easy situation. Just even thinking about the weather itself, you can imagine a single mother who lost her husband with 5 young children, all of them under the age of 10, landing in Winnipeg in January, and how difficult it is even to navigate the weather. Many people also struggle to maintain their sanity because you don't have social connections. You have to start life afresh. You're struggling with the language. The languages spoken, English and French, are both strange to most people. So it's very difficult for them to integrate with the community in the first time. So they face a lot of isolation. Many of the young people, kids who have been in refugee situations, some of them have missed school and have interrupted schooling, and they haven't had access to school. So they get here, they're going to school for the first time. Kids maybe a little bit younger than you, starting to go to school with kids who have been in school from grade 1. So they face the challenges of integrating within the school system and being expected to perform like all the other kids. And as well, the parents, we have the expectations of them like all the other parents that have lived here. For Muslim refugees, there are even more additional challenges because the environment is where they came from is a more Muslim environment where you can go pray in the mosque when you need it. You have people to connect with, you have Islamic school and all this. So it's all of a sudden, it's completely different. Kids don't have a place to pray in the school system. Parents are not connected to their religious facilities. They will want a religious upbringing for their kids. Those facilities are not very many. So it's a bit challenging for the parents. That's why they withdraw to themselves and they're looking for opportunities. As well, also, Muslims, especially people who are visibly Muslim, especially Muslim women who wear the hijab, they face a lot of racism here, and the society is closed, and many people find it very difficult who are refugee, who are Muslim women, find it very difficult to integrate because they are profiled for who they look like and how they dress, especially Muslim girls in school. You find other kids pulling their hijab out, or if you are a Muslim family and you end up in a small town in Manitoba where nobody knows about Islam, and everybody looks at you with a strange feeling. These are challenges that the newcomers who are of refugee background face, but they are extremely resilient people and can turn around things very quickly. For example, I know of a mother who had 5 children, Muslim woman, 5 children, all of them under the age of 10, one with severe disability, disabled on all 4 limbs, on a wheelchair, single mother, did not speak English. In 5 years' time, she was speaking English, she had her own car, and she had her own house, and, life normal, like working, So they are extremely resilient to come around from all these challenges.
Okay, nice.
Wow, so it's very clear that you're very passionate about your job. So what really interests you in your field, and have there been any really big influences that caused you to pursue therapy?
So I'm interested in supporting people. I've been brought up, my father was a religious leader. Growing up, the whole community used to come to our house and people used to get the support, so I took on that. And I continue to do that even outside work. I'm always in my community supporting people, helping them fill forms, doing interpretation outside my work, supporting refugees and refugee claimants who are needing this support. Every day I'm confronted by the challenges that people face, specifically mental health situations and how people are struggling with those things. And for me, it's not a choice, it's a calling to do these kind of things for the community, to be able to be available, because I see it as a personal responsibility, personal responsibility to my community to be able to offer whatever I can for my community. Specifically, I started working with young people, youth who are refugee background, and that opened my eyes to a lot of the challenges that people face, and I continue to support community members.
So you kind of touched on the mental health issues.
Yeah.
So could you talk about those mental health issues that newcomers face and struggle with?
Yeah, generally, when you talk about mental health, for the general population, even for the Western population, people who are who have lived in this country for a long time, generally there's a lot of stigma around mental health. Even for the Caucasian population, who we think have adopted a more understanding terms for mental health, everybody in all the communities, there's stigma around mental health. For refugees, and specifically Muslim newcomers, there's a lot of stigma around mental health. A lot of these cultures, they treat mental health as a kind of a demonic possession. When someone has a mental health situation, we take it as though they have been attacked by jinn, or they have demons that need to be driven out, or they have been possessed, So it's it's rare that people in the community who are struggling with mental health situations come out and say they need support with their mental health. Coming to the work that I do, everybody struggles with mental health situation. Even the person who is 99% perfect struggles with mental health situation. It's a spectrum. There are people who are affected in a worse situation, and there are people who are continuing with their daily life but have effects. All of us have it. It's the acceptance of the situations, the adverse effects of mental health situations that is problematic. Having said that, our communities have a lot of people who have experienced trauma, post-traumatic stress disorder, and are struggling. Even, you know, the relocation of being in this country and struggling with the immigration process. You came here as a professional, a doctor, and you're unable to, bring yourself to where you were as a doctor or an engineer, and you have to do jobs that are like taxi driving or cleaning to get to where you are. Mm-hmm. That has significant impact on your mental health situation. And a lot of folks do not recover from this. So, and the community doesn't have support for it. We stigmatize, we look it down, and we force those people who have mental health situations to hide it, so that a lot of people are affected. It's even worse for refugees because they have been through worst of violence, and they don't come out with it. You know, so this is a huge impact on the community. Fortunately, people are starting to realize the need to come out to be able to talk about mental health and why it's important to seek help. So as a society, we should be able to normalize that mental health is a normal thing, mental health illness is a normal thing, and that people have different spectrums and we are all affected, and that when we need support, we need to be able to seek support. This way, then people are able to come out needing support.
Yeah, it's a very hard thing, especially in our community, to even begin to start to think about coming out to even family. Even family might have a severe feedback. So how would you recommend to somebody that wants to reduce the stigma around them, mm-hmm. and then eventually, be more open to their family? So how would somebody start that conversation, for example, with their parents?
Yeah, that's a good question, Yahya. It's the idea is to normalize it, to talk about it with your friends, to discuss it as though it's a normal sickness. You know, when we have physical illness, like when you have a headache or a stomach ache, or even have a fever, or even have your flu, these are things that you can see. Mm-hmm. Because you can see it, you treat it very urgently, and you are openly able to talk about it. Mental illness is not visible. Mm-hmm. You can look very physically healthy and normal, but you may be significantly affected by mental illness. So the first step is to normalize, to talk to your friends about it, to treat it as a normal illness like any other physical illness, and to address it from the perspective of a normal thing that everybody faces on a daily basis. I know how it feels for young people, because I know how, for example, specifically our Muslim parents feel about mental health situations. I know parents will come and say, "Oh, mom, I'm struggling with mental health situation." A'udhu billahi minash shaitan. What's going on is what parents first will say, instead of saying, there are solutions. You can go to the imam. We can read Quran on you. You can go to a mental health therapist. All these kind of things. So educating our parents about all these aspects, I think, is important, and it takes the young people to be able to open the eyes of parents, because we're all conservative when it comes to these kind of things, and we continue to hide it. That we bring it out and to talk about it, it's a good thing.
So what advice would you give to the parents that kind of, struggle to open their eyes to the mental health issues and the struggles that teens
What I
face?
want to tell, thank you, Ramsha. What I want to tell our parents, the parents in our community, specifically our Muslim community, is that you need to be there for our children. We're in a different country. unfortunately, our kids are integrating into this society faster than us parents. It takes time for the parents to wake up and integrate and find themselves in the environment. Kids are traveling faster. So as parents, we need to be able to wake up, to be there for our children, to talk to them, play with them, be their friends. We cannot continue the life that we had in our own countries, where we have a separation of relationships, where parents are authoritarian and the children are more listening. Here it's supposed to be a two-way traffic. Even though they're your children, you need to be able to observe from the perspective of, these are human beings, I'm a human being, they have needs, I have, understanding. I need to be able to understand each other, to be on the same page, and to open up. Because these kids are interacting with other kids whose parents are interacting with them and playing with them and doing all kinds of things. Even in our own faith, we're supposed to be open with our kids and be kind, So we need to show this kindness, be playful, so that our kids can open themselves up and feel free to come forward with these kind of things. Because if we are closed and we're still feeling this relationship of, okay, you're the child, these kind of things, kids will not come out to tell us these things. So as parents, we need to bring ourselves down, come down from the tower that we are in, bring ourselves to the same level of our kids, and assume that, we're experiencing a common experience in this country because we're all new, and be able to be there for our children when they need it. Because if we are not there for our children, someone else is going to be there for them, and you'll find that kids are drifting away from you. Mm-hmm. So you need to take this responsibility as a parent.
It's hard, yeah, though.
Mm-hmm. So just to almost wrap up, what kind of advice would you give to, for example, let's say a person who's struggling with this kind of a mental illness? What is something what kind of action could they take immediately and even see some immediate results?
So one of the most important things for someone who is struggling with mental health, if you're a young person or an adult, is to seek support as soon as possible. Everybody has someone who they confide with, or a friend or someone who they trust. Talk to someone who you trust. If it's your parent, is the person that you trust, you need to talk to them. If it's a cousin, if it's a mentor, someone that you trust, you need to talk to someone as soon as possible. Because mental illness, if you don't talk about it, it's going to eat you away. And you don't want to be in a situation where you are not able to come back. So before you reach in that situation, you need to be able to talk about it normally to someone who you trust, so that that person is able to bring you support. And if you are that person, that someone approaches you in our community, someone approaches you to seek that kind of help, we need to take it seriously and seek support for people. I know the supports for mental health in this country are not culturally sensitive. In most cases, the supports for people who are struggling with mental health is approached from a Eurocentric perspective. There are, however, resources within our community. For example, in our Muslim community, through our imam, through our mental health professionals. At Aurora, for example, we have a robust, multicultural community mental health program that brings several different perspectives, including even faith perspective. So we're able to provide support to these people. So when you need help, talk to someone. And if you are that person who's been talked to, take it seriously, because if someone approaches you and you don't take it, you take it lightly at that moment, there are chances that you are betraying that person and they can end up in a worse situation.
So was there anything that you think you haven't mentioned yet that you kind of want to talk about, and maybe even talk to the viewers about, give them a message or something?
We're in this community, we're in Canada. This country is ours. we need to take a role. We need to take a position. We cannot isolate ourselves from society. There are a lot of things that we can do to integrate within the community. Even our own faith as Muslims, we're required to be able to support whoever we live with. The thing is that the best way to show the best image of Islam is to take a role in the society and to contribute. There are people who are homeless, who are struggling with homelessness. There are people who are, depending on the food bank. There are community programs. All these things, as Muslims, you need to take a responsibility to contribute to society, whether it's volunteering at a homeless shelter, whether it's volunteering at the food bank, or whether it's volunteering at a community center where they run programs for kids. So take the time, take a small amount of your time to be able to contribute to society so that our kids see that we are part of this community and take a role, because we cannot isolate ourselves from the community. We have to be part of this community too and integrate ourselves. A lot of people in this society, they donate to make small donations to activities within our community. Make the $5 donation to a community program for youth. Make a $10 donation to the soup kitchen in your neighborhood for people who are struggling, so that you feel that you're part of our society, as well as our kids also are brought up to feel that they have a role to contribute to this country.
Thank you so much for your time, your sacrifice, for coming here today. If you guys enjoyed the episode, please remember to subscribe to Multicultural channel. Thank you.